Hey guys, we're here at Danielle Boulud's DBGB to talk rosé. That's right, pink wine. DBGB is Danielle Boulud's Bowery Outpost, a neighborhood restaurant known for its bangers, burgers, beer, and beautiful wine. Today we're joined by head sommelier of Danielle's Dinex Group, Vaidya, and head sommelier of DBGB, Ian Smedley, to learn about why rosé is so great for pairing with food. Thank you so much for being here.
Delighted. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you very much.
I'd love to know, what is it like working with Danielle Boulud?
It's really amazing. I mean, not only does he know a lot about wine, but he loves wine. He loves winemakers. He loves to visit the vineyards. He loves to learn about things. And that's, part because he's such a passionate person and so intuitive. But also, I think there's something to be said for the cultural element. He grew up in the country in France, surrounded by winemakers, and his respect for the work they do and the connection with the land is very robust, and it's very organic and true. And so that's why I'm so lucky to get to work with a guy like that.
So what's the best way that we can utilize a somm?
Describe wines that you've had before that you like, because that's the easiest way for us to kind of pick through and figure out what your tastes are.
Okay, so maybe get your phone or a pen, write wines you like, bring them to your somm.
Totally. The specific examples are very helpful because we in the trade have tasted a lot of stuff. We taste more wine than
most human beings ever in their life.
I was going to say civilians, but
True. Right. But if you come to us with a list of things that you like, I can probably convince you to try something you've never tried based on its potential similarity to something.
Oh, I love
and then
that.
maybe you have something new for your list.
Okay, we're gonna do rosé debunked. All right, Ian, we'll start with you.
You have to drink it when it's young and fresh.
Not true.
Absolutely not. It totally benefits from a year or two in bottle.
Ooh, okay. All right, Raj, you.
that the wine is made by mixing still white wine and still red wine. That's not true. In fact, the color comes from the skins of red grapes for sure, but it's never made by blending the two, with the exception of champagne. So you get the color out of the skins either by crushing them rather, or macerating, or which is to say having the skins in contact with the juice to extract that color.
Okay, and back to you.
Also, people think rosé is only for the summer or only for the south of France, and it turns out you can drink it year-round. Pairs well with food at all times of the year.
All around the world, year-round.
All around the world.
All around the world,
year-round.
anytime, anywhere, drink rosé.
Boom.
So let's drink some wine, guys.
All right.
Yeah? Raj and Ian each chose their own rosé to pair with Chef Nick Tang's Singaporean crab. Raj's wine is Bernard Baudry's Chinon Rosé, an organic wine from the Loire Valley in France. And Ian's wine is Berlotto's 2016 Elatis Rosé from Verduno in Piedmont, Italy. Raj, why did you choose your wine?
Baudry is one of my favorite producers of white and red, and so the rosé is a tiny amount of the production actually, and it's pretty rare. It's also a bit atypical, and so like most rosés, it does see just a tiny amount of that pink color coming from the crushing of the grapes. It isn't macerated for a long time, that's why you can see that it's almost like this onion skin color. It always has a bright saline character. The Loire kind of reminds me of that oceanic character of the wines.
I chose this one because, one, it hits that misnomer we were talking about earlier about a darker rosé being either more sweet or more intense. It is fairly high in alcohol, but I've always loved this one. I loved it last year and I loved it the year before that. And we're talking peppery.
Talking peppery.
I love peppery rosé. I have to admit.
Okay, so we're going salinity and peppery is what we're saying.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and
That's
pepper!
it.
Oh,
There
this
you
is
are.
amazing. Okay, so let's try your tasting tips when we taste it.
Great.
One of my favorite things is to ask the somms general tasting tips.
So my number one is that when you're smelling a wine, people tend to keep their mouth closed. However, when you swirl a wine and you put it into your nose, if you just open your mouth slightly, the aromas are amplified a great deal. And it's a great way to kind of pick out more nuances and notice things, specific notes and flavors more clearly.
That's such a good tip. Do you have a good tip?
I mean, one that you every once in a while you'll hear people almost bubbling the wine across their tongue. Turns out that actually really helps. The more of your tongue that you get that wine on without swallowing it, the more taste notes you'll get.
Okay, can we try it with those two tips? So what do you smell in this?
So again, that salinity comes through really clearly. But there is also a floral note, like a bit of a rose water kind of character, but not in a perfumed or sweet way. It's very delicate. Yeah.
And now I'm gonna go open mouth. Oh my gosh, it really just went to the 10th
Yeah, it's just
degree.
like turning up the dial. It's all the same aromas, but it's more expressive.
Wow. Okay, so you were saying kind of bubble. So teach everyone, do a little demonstration right now. If you can.
Oh,
I'll show him you talk. How about
Oh,
that?
perfect. Thank you.
So you take a small sip, and then lightly open your mouth just enough to get some air in there, and he's rolling that around behind his teeth, on his tongue, all over the palate. You really, the wine really expresses itself differently on the sides, on the very back. You'll get that, especially that saline acidity really jumps out in this particular wine.
This one's really good.
This is
so
really,
good.
really good. I got like way more rose when I put it back here and over the top of my front teeth. I've never done that before just now, ever.
Yep, it makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Wow. All right, so what do you taste, Ian, when you taste this?
Well, he's talking about that saline thing. So for me, it's also a lot of like sea stones. I'm originally from
was
Maine,
thinking
and it makes me think of, it makes me think of, like you said, the ocean water nearness, but like licking a stone from the sea.
Like licking a stone, like going in the tide
pebble,
pools and just stuffing the
For sure.
rocks in your mouth.
I grew up on the ocean also, but it was in Bombay, and we just didn't go in the water.
Don't touch it, and especially don't drink it.
No kissing stones.
No kissing stones. Let's take the second wine. So the first wine is like barely a blush. The second wine is like really girly baby shower pink.
Yeah, a little bit higher in alcohol here. So expect maybe a little bit of sweet pink fruits up front, and that will be on the palate, but that doesn't make it sweet.
Okay, yeah, explain that
dry
to us. So sweet fruit on the palate means you're tasting flavor of fruit, but you are not tasting sweet as in sugar.
Correct.
There are fruit flavors that you would associate with sweetness, like strawberries. I see more of like a cherry thing.
Yeah,
Cherry
like
thing?
a little
on the palate here.
deeper red fruit there.
Yeah.
Deeper
But not sugar.
We're sniffing with our mouths open. I've got a little like watermelon, a little strawberry.
I think I agree with you, and pepper. I
Lots of pepper for me too, as well.
And that is crazy. So as in black pepper, not red pepper or chili pepper, but black
pepper,
like
yeah.
Peppercorns, yeah.
peppercorns.
Yep.
It really does. Like it really does, no joke.
Kind of so for that reason, with the combo of we were talking about this, the combo of the fruit and the peppercorn is mezcal-esque almost.
I can't help but think about food with this because it has
Yeah.
so many savory notes, and that dichotomy between the fruitiness in the middle palate and especially that red fruit, the cherry note, the strawberry, the watermelon in the nose that you mentioned, even more specifically like watermelon seeds, watermelon skin, or rind rather, they call it.
All right, so walk us through what you smell and taste here.
Well, I'm with him there too. Like I said, for me, it's all about the peppercorn pepperiness, both on the
Okay.
nose and the palate. In the same way that we talked about the other one being like licking a stone.
Yeah.
This for me is really like pulling something super vegetal out of the earth and getting like a little bit of that, like a little bit of soil, like a little bit of dirt, almost like just like crumbling a pink and a black peppercorn together, but also that like vegetal, savory, like.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. Yeah, it makes it makes me hungry. That's really what it is. It's.
Should we try this with some food?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think so.
Can't wait. Today's pairing is Executive Chef Nick Tang's Singaporean softshell crab with black pepper sauce. Here's what I want to know. Who won this tasting?
Oh, clearly I won.
Right?
Oh yeah, obviously.
So round one, Raj. We're
Yeah.
going to see about round two.
Cocktail
it's
hour Raj, but it remains to be seen.
Cocktail hour, Raj. So should we dive in?
We must.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Okay, all right. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I feel like this. Okay, check this out. I mean, I feel like this guy needs a name, and I'm kind of getting attached to him, but he's looking right at me when I take the bite. I don't know.
His days are numbered. Don't worry
His
about naming
days
him.
are numbered. Okay. I'm going in. Oh my god. It's rich and velvety and black peppery, and the crunch is kind of amazing from a texture standpoint, and then the bun is sort of gooey yummy, and then you've got the lettuce that kind of crunches it up. This is so luxurious and good. All right, let's try it with your first wine. Contrast pairing. Ooh,
It's refreshing.
it's refreshing and
Super.
it like clears everything out.
Yeah.
The saline lasts for sure, which is nice too.
And
That's
it
true.
really is salt and pepper. We talked about salt and pepper with the two wines, but actually with the pepper in the dish, I think it's working pretty well, actually.
The black pepper from the sauce, I think, lingered the whole way through, but I
Yeah.
still think there was the refreshing light element. But it's the saline that I love that wine for already that I think really does pair so nicely.
Refreshing the palate, balancing out that spice element, balancing out also the richness of the dish, because
Yes.
it being fried and also the brioche in the bun adds enough butter that you want something to kind of cut through it. I think that
cut.
works pretty well.
It works perfectly. Well, I don't even think they all do. So these guys are the experts. Okay, are we going for number two?
Let's do it.
Okay.
He's reaching for it.
Oh, you got him. The final
Grabbing
blow.
on for
The
dear
final
life.
blow. That's it.
Be careful what you wish for. Wow, that made the wine so much more black pepper even than before.
Yeah. It's interesting. Actually, I found the
Spicier.
opposite. I found that the spice element's still there, but that's not the only thing I taste, and it's kind of taken a step back. I think
Really?
the fruitiness
The
kind of
cherries
comes out
are
more.
all
Yeah.
over it now.
Cherries
yeah.
are all over. Wow, I'm sort of feeling spice. That's interesting.
Almost for me, it feels like the pepper balances each other out and, and dissipates a little bit from being the
Really?
star of the
Okay.
show. Delicious with it though.
It's definitely more tart. I got more tart. I did get more cherry.
It still has that pepper element for sure. It's really good with this.
So walk me through what happens in your mind when you're actually pairing this together.
The first thing that I thought of, he talked black pepper anyway, and
Yep.
I thought of the pepperiness of this wine and that sort of cancellation style that we're talking about, and the florality. And so I thought about, scallion, cilantro, and all this pepper and spice, and having something with to bring the fruit out in the wine, and something with a
Okay.
bit more savor as well.
Yeah.
Essentially, for me, the sauce is the key here because
Right.
although the crab itself is got its own inherent saline being seafood,
Right.
it's dominated by this kind of sauce
Yes.
with the greenness of cilantro and scallions to kind of cut through.
Yeah.
And so I thought that would play nicely with the florality of this wine inherently, but also the savor and its own black pepperiness. I thought would, which it turned out doing, bring out this lovely fruit and flowers that are at the heart of the wine.
All right, Raj, now if you could walk us through what goes on in your mind when you do this pairing with each wine.
With any wine, I try and think about the dish in terms of a structural element and component, but to specifically focus on elements that are the most intense on the palate and play off of those. So with the salty contrast pairing, I wanted something that will contrast the richness of the brioche, the fried crab itself, the pepper sauce, which is obviously the biggest show in town here, intense hints of spice, sweetness, saltiness from the soy. But at the end of the day, what's beautiful about it is that both work.
Yes, that's
They're
true.
two different experiences, but
Yes.
they're both excellent.
Wow, cool. Okay, so who's the winner? Who's the winner of the tasting?
Of the pairing.
Seems to me that
I
you
mean-
are.
Yeah.
That's
I think
that
so,
is true.
yeah.
I'm the one that gets to be here and do this and taste this all.
I have to give it to the Piedmontese. I think that I think the Brolotto is a better wine with this dish. As
Agreed.
stands.
You're gonna give
and
it
I think
up?
the one thing that is really standing out that makes me like it more is that because it has that slight bit more alcohol and there are more richness and glycerol character,
Mm-hmm.
I think that balances out the brioche that I hadn't given it much thought. The bread brings this buttery sweetness to the dish
Wow.
that I think needs a little bit more richness. I think maybe the
Wow.
Baudry is a little too light for it.
A little too. So round one, Raj. Round two, Ian.
Canceled out.
Yeah, perfect.
That's it, man. That's
Win,
perfect.
win, win. And then me, of course, winning everything
Right.
because I'm here.
Round
Thank you
three,
so
Carol.
much. Round three, Carol. Raj, Ian, you have been followed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It has been such a
Thank you
pleasure.
very much.
Thank you.
For more articles and videos, head to wineforfood.com.